Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today, with just 5 months to go until the Mandalorian and Grogu, I've got a crazy Star Wars theory to share with you. Now I have to be honest, I usually reject this level of speculation, where people say that Disney's going to draw upon some deep lore from the expanded universe, but this one actually makes sense. If they don't end up doing this, fine, whatever, it's just a fun theory, so please take it as such. But with all of that disclaimer out the way, what am I talking about? A few days ago, a brand new plot synopsis for The Mandalorian and Grogu appeared online. At the time of me posting this video, there has been no confirmation as to whether or not it's legit. But nonetheless, it's a pretty badass description, and if it does turn out to be real, then it's proof that we know very little about the movie. And there's one specific part of this synopsis that has Star Wars fans stumped. And it's this alleged part of the movie that we're going to be talking about, because it might have a crazy connection to the first ever book of the expanded universe. So the synopsis says that in tracking down the Imperial Remnant, Din Djarin and Grogu find themselves on a planet called Karzoon, and there they discover both an abandoned Imperial facility and an ancient artifact that amplifies Grogu's Force abilities. And this, like I said the other day, is absolutely insane. And in response to this revelation, Star Wars fans have been scouring both canon and legends to try and find any clues as to what this artifact could be. I've seen theories relating to holocrons, but the most credible theory in my estimation is the one that says that the artifact is the Kyber crystal, and that's Kyber spelled like this, that was found in Splinter of the Mind's Eye, the 1978 sequel to Star Wars that was the first book of the expanded universe. This is way before The Empire Strikes Back, and in a technical sense, was the first sequel follow-up to the original Star Wars story. It's one of my personal favourites. I've mentioned it a couple of times in separate videos, but I've never gone into it in too much depth, so I guess today's the day. To cut a long story short, after the Battle of Yavin, Luke was meant to escort Princess Leia on a diplomatic mission to Serkopus 4, but they crash land on Mimban, a planet which is also known as Serkopus 5 and is most famous for its appearance in Solo. Our heroes discover a secret base of Imperial stormtroopers, and if that wasn't trouble enough, by the end of the story, Darth Vader tracks them there. While on Mimban, accompanied by C-3PO and R2-D2, the rebels try to find a way off-world. In their search, they find a mining town, and Leia discovers the Empire's a secret energy mine there. Luke and Leia find disguises and enter the facility. While trying to lay low, at dinner, an old woman named Hala senses both Luke and Leia in the Force. She tells them of an ancient temple on Mimban, one which contains the sacred Kyber crystal, one that is able to magnify Force powers. The woman is in search of it, and so she makes a deal with them. If Luke and Leia help her find it, she'll help them get off-world and escape the Empire's grip. After an unfortunate encounter with the Empire, eventually they find the temple and find the crystal. But then Darth Vader tracks them down. He wants revenge for what happened at Yavin, so he fights Leia and nearly kills her. But when Hala retrieves the Kyber crystal, her and Luke use it on Leia to restore her life. But it's a very important artifact, and the theory goes that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are drawing upon this concept for The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's probably not going to be a one-for-one copy. Instead of Mimban, they're using Karzoon. I'm sure the look and the shape of the crystal is going to be different for Disney canon. And what's interesting in the case of The Mandalorian and Grogu is it's being housed in an abandoned Imperial facility. So maybe the Remnant isn't aware of it, or perhaps the Shadow Council's just discovered it. Before he died, was Palpatine aware of it? And is this the artifact that Grogu's going to use to amplify his powers? And in what ways is it going to change him? Now I should also just clarify, my friends, there is a canon version of this crystal. It's called the Echo Stone, a powerful Force artifact that we read about in the High Republic. It originates on a mysterious planet X. These stones acted as conduits for both the light side and the dark. Echo Stones, much like the Kyber crystals from Splinter of the Mind's Eye, amplified a Force user's connection to the Force, but also allowed the user to wield it in unpredictable ways. The ancient Sith were even aware of them. Perhaps in Emperor Palpatine's research, he learnt about them. And much like his research on Tantis, opened a facility on Karzoon, which is now forgotten. But forgotten can mean a lot of different things. The remnants picked up a lot of pieces from the Empire of old, so while it might be forgotten or abandoned in the eyes of the New Republic, it doesn't mean there isn't anything shady happening there. The remnant is notoriously covert. So in much the same way Din Djarin uncovered the remnant secrets on Navarro, is he going to do the same thing on Karzoon? Is he stumbling into something truly abandoned, or something the remnant is aware of? The synopsis says, certain clues lead Din and Grogu there. What kind of breadcrumbs did they follow? Now here's where things get juicy, and props to you if you made it this far. When the planet of Mimban was recanonized, it was mentioned in the Clone Wars Season 5, but its first proper appearance came in 2018's Solo a Star Wars Story, and the lore confirmed about the planet since has several connections to Splinter of the Mind's Eye. For instance, its former name, officially it was called Circopus 5, the location lifted directly from Alan Dean Foster's book. In addition to this, the concept for the Kyber crystal from Splinter inspired a Canon relic from Mimban, the Mind Splinter, an ancient artifact discovered by a group of Mimbanese miners. Centuries later, the Knights of Ren were hired to steal it. During the skirmish, the newly recruited Ben Solo killed the leader of the Knights, took command, and departed without the Mind Splinter. So we don't know what happened to it. Presumably, it remained on Mimban, unless the First Order later took it. So why do I bring this up? Because we now have two instances of stories or MacGuffins that were inspired by Splinter of the Mind's Eye. It might be a long-forgotten Legends book, but they're happy to draw from it, and they clearly have done several times, in the High Republic, in the Rise of Kylo Ren comics, and so once again in the Mandalorian and Grogu. Based on this synopsis, if it's true, a solid theory is they're following a similar route to what happened in Splinter. It's not going to be Mimban, it's not going to be one for one, but it is an artifact with connections to the Ancient Jedi or some other Force group that's going to amplify Grogu's abilities. It responded to both the light side and the dark, and even granted Darth Vader the power of Force lightning. This was usually impossible for him due to his bionic limbs. And one final piece of speculation. I wonder if in the same way Luke came across the old woman, someone is going to guide Grogu to the artifact. I know she ends up being a charlatan and a fraud, but imagine if Din and Grogu come across a genuine Jedi survivor. None of the leaks mention a surprise cameo, but then again, none of them mention the artifact. It's going to be fascinating. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments down below, my dear friends. And if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you always.